Okay, friends, we took care of 6. Now let's take care of 7. Assuming you're braking in a controlled manner, how long will it take you to brake completely at 65? Long being, I should put in seconds here. That way you make sure I know what I'm talking about. So in seconds. So that comes back to this formula. And if you remember, this formula depends on two things. The time it takes you to brake in seconds is based on how fast you're going, and also this force measure that's either 15 or 30, depending on how you're braking. If it's controlled, it's 15, and if it's an imminent collision, it's 30. So here's what I suggest. Let's go back to the spreadsheet. I'm going to create a new column over here called force, and that's F. Now, the kicker is we need to be able to have this either be 15 if we're braking controlled, or 30 if we're braking uncontrolled. So here's what I recommend that we do. I'm going to insert, in this little cell right next to force, I'm going to insert a checkbox. Okay, now what's cool about checkboxes is you can check them or you can uncheck them, and that's totally fine. So in this little label here where it says force, I'm going to put ... check if controlled. Now what that means is if I'm going to do this in a controlled manner, I'm going to hit the check right there. And if it's the uncontrolled braking, the slam on the brakes, we're just going to uncheck it. Okay, now what is the point of that? Well, here's what's kind of cool. We're going to learn a super cool thing called an if-then command right now. In the cell under where I just typed that, I'm going to type equals, and then I'm going to type if, and then left parentheses. Now, an if-then does is, it checks a cell for a condition. So for example, I'm looking at cell F6. That's where my checkbox is. So if it says if F6 equals, and then I'm going to type true. True means it's checked. Then I hit comma, and I simply type the number 15. And then I hit another comma, and if it's unchecked, I type the number 30. So take a look at that formula real quick before I press enter. If F6, which is the checkbox, is true, meaning it's checked, then it's going to return a 15. If it's unchecked, it's going to be a 30. So I'm going to press enter. And right now it's returning a 30 because it's not checked. But if I check it, it's going to be a 15. Pretty cool, huh? Now, of course, if you don't like that, you can simply type 15 or 30 in the cell every time you want to change it. But I kind of like having the idea to switch it back and forth with a checkbox. Okay, one more formula for this question. The time, if I recall from back here, the time is equal to the speed divided by that value of F. So this is pretty straightforward, I think. All we got to do is click in this cell right here and go equals, click on the speed in feet per second, and then hit divide, and then click on that value of E over there and press enter. So it looks like it's going to take us about 6.36 seconds to stop if we're going 65 miles an hour and we're braking in a controlled manner. If you wanted to see what it was like in an uncontrolled manner, you would uncheck the box. That would take us 3.18 seconds, which you might also guess is half the distance because this number is twice as much. Okay, cool. So we just answered number 7. Let's move on to the next one.